Hey there, Goa fans. Mark, DJ Solitaire here with episode 69 of Retro Goa Explorations, my weekly series in which in every episode I share one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s, Goa Trance, psychedelic dance movement. I have been waiting to feature the track that is in today's episode, and I figured number 69 with a triple 23, which is a big cosmic number, and all of that jazz, would be a good one for this one, because this is really one of the most unbelievable tracks in the entire pantheon of these productions, in this musical scene, languages, and whatever it is that we can say about it. Um, Lots of stories, of course, and really just one of the most amazing tracks ever produced. So, my introduction to this track showing up in my life came through another track that's related to it. So, sometime at the end of 1996 or in the first couple of months of 97, I it might have been December 96, but I really do think it was sort of late January or early February 97. Um, I went to a weekday event one evening in the Tottenham Court Road area of London. And Richard Purple, DJ Purple from Dragonfly, was behind the decks. And I walked in to this venue, which, I don't remember any decorations. I just remember, it's pretty black. And, I remember he was up on a bit of a platform and this kind of, set of speakers there. And I walked in and my face was nearly blasted off and my consciousness was sort of, completely blown apart by this electromagnetic wall of audible circuitry that was being played. And I was just like, what the fork is this? And our mutual friend Emmerich from France, who we all lived in the same neighborhood. So I was a 5 minute walk to Richard's, and basically another couple of minutes from there was Emmerich's place. So Tufnell Park in London in 96, 97 was a bit of a trance central kind of area. Chris from UX lived one station to the north in Archway. I used to go over and listen to music and watch Teletubbies with him and his kid. But I digress. Uh, so I went up to Emmerich and I was like, what's this? And he said, Pleiadians. And he says, album coming on Dragonfly. Right? So naturally I was floored, and naturally I was like, when is this album coming? So I knew also Darren, who was the label manager at Dragonfly, who took over from Simon Holtum when he left in the autumn of 96 to go work on Twisted Records, where he is still the head honcho. And if, when I was downtown every week or so, I would go in, check out the CD shops. I would sometimes pop by the Dragonfly office. And as it was getting closer that this album was coming in the summer, I was showing up a little bit more regularly and sort of, looking out of the corner of my eye, or not so much the corner, and wondering when this would show up. And of course, one of these days, one of those times I walk in and Darren presents me with IFO, and now legendary album by the Pleiadians. So, as we've looked at before, Etnica, once they signed to Blue Room, would release on other albums as on other labels rather as Pleiadians. So I think first on Symbiosis, I think, and then we did one on Flying Rhino already, Zeta Reticuli, and Time Dilation on Matsuri, and so on. And so full album Dragonfly, kind of a big deal. Now, the theme of this, centers around is a brilliant concept, right? 7 tracks, one for each of the 7 stars of the Pleiadians star system, which is a very interesting uh, sort of thing in the sky when you look, because if you look at the Pleiades, if you can see them, you can't look directly at them. You won't see them. If you look a little bit to the side, then you'll actually be able to see them more clearly. Kind of cool. So the way this album started, which I didn't know at the time, was that one of the 4 musicians of the project, Carlo Paterno, hoping that rolling my R's means that I pronounced it properly in Italian, he had broken his arm and wasn't able to tour with the rest of the band in the summer of '96. So that happened in August. So he spent the whole month using his left hand to start this album and to basically get the foundation and get things going. He spent the whole month doing that. And then when everybody was back together in September, they worked to finalize the album. So it took shape pretty quickly, considering this is like 7 tracks, a couple of them pretty long. For some reason, Maia is listed as 8:42, which is nothing like the reality. It's 11:20. So but some monster tracks and really some super duper masterpieces here. And as a flow, the album is phenomenal in its, storytelling and its shift between one to the other. Now, with this, what's now become really one of the most iconic albums, they also released, Alcyone, the 4th track on here, was the sort of single release. And there was a limited edition release that came out on Dragonfly, where there's just the label on one side. And on the other side, let's see if I can get the light on there, where you see my apartment reflected. You have the constellation of the 7 sisters with some really cool carvings and the Mayan calendar all the way around. Limited edition set of 1 or 200, I believe it was. So thanks to both Darren and Richard for this lovely gift. So, of course, I excitedly went home, put this on, and it was one of those like you're not the same after you've heard this, which is all of our experience with this music and with this first track. That was definitely my experience, and that's the track we're going to feature, Maia, which for me is one of the most beautiful, sky-opening, dimension-transcending, soul-enhancing pieces of music that exists in the whole, in this whole scene. It is really in a class of its own for many, many reasons. And, as I was listening through, and this is actually the 3rd attempt to record because the technological gremlins were really playing with things as I was producing the previous versions. Each time I listen, I was like, I'm hearing different things and I don't know which of multiple voices to highlight. There's just so much that's going on. It really is a true masterpiece. Maori shared just a couple of details with me. So in terms of equipment, talked about Nord lead, Oscar, MS-10, 1ON, etc. And I'm not going to go through. He gave some more details of, oh, this voice is this voice is that. For me, I'm one of those music people here. I don't hear the instrumentation as much as I hear kind of, what the sound symbolizes and what's going on, atmospherically with the music and so on. So that's kind of, as you know, if you've been watching previous episodes, where my attention goes. So this is one of the tracks I've played the most. There's 3 or 4 that I generally tend to play. My Alcyone, Electra, and Asterope. Again, I don't know if that's the real Pleiadian pronunciation or the Italian, or I just made it up. We don't learn this in school. So, but we're going to listen to Maia, and lots to appreciate in this monster track. So it's a good thing I'll be playing it at the end without my talking over it, because this is just one of the, again, it's just one of the most cosmic tracks. And it's really, one of those tracks I think is really important to consider this, because it used to be the atmosphere that at these events used to feel that, a certain track at a certain time opens a portal. that, this is music, as I've talked about from the very first episode, is being beamed down from another planet or from another dimension, or, maybe coming out of you as well from one of those other dimensions. And this is one of those. And it's not like you just sort of like, oh, the vibe is good, I'm just going to put this track on. It's not that kind of track, right? It's not like one of those uplifting kind of, like a Green Nuns kind of, oh, everybody's going for it, let's put this on, and the roof will blow off, which is great. And there's something to that. So no disrespect whatsoever, right? There's some music that's like that. And then there's music like this that strikes a chord, no pun intended, inside you, and where it's really has to be right time, right place. And there's a level of respect that I think is required for this music to serve its purpose. And it's so divinely inspired, really, from wherever, that it's really something else. So we will listen now to the opening track on Pleiadians' legendary Identified Flying Object, IFO, album, Maia. So this opening is just like, what a way to start the whole album in this track, where it's just like this spaceship buzzing in the distance, or this start of a sine wave or sound wave or whatever it is. Now it sounds like there's two almost. I remember it's 28 seconds. I remember from when I used to write the timings on my DATs. And then in comes this riff, which is just like this divine, sort of this angel or divine alien communicating some melody forgotten from the beginning of time. And then some voices here, part of a chorus of angelic beings or alien beings behind. And listen to the tension. It's sort of like the engines are revving up. Just that rhythm and the shaping of that figuration, along with a beautiful smooth line here, is just next level. Several layers already going on beyond what we normally hear. And now the engines get truly revved right before the kick. So like ships lifting off. Just notice again all of those sounds that are going up and coming in and out. And that alternating rhythm. So it's climbing up, climbing up. Then upper voice kind of opened up there. There's kind of, again, that background chorus. While that beautiful ongoing riff is going. Beautiful, beautiful melodic harmonic flavor. And a little shift here. And finally that riff starts to open up some other content. This storytelling is so amazing here. The phases, the way they pull back to start bringing in more tension. Here. That riff comes back. We have some of those tense sounds coming from above. And then the sky opening sounds pierce through. The way that intense electro thunderbolt ties in with this melodic stuff. And then we have these alien voices flying out of who knows where. And again. Things just calm down a little bit before another transition. beautiful, floaty, evocative, really otherworldly kind of melodic content. Kick, then pulls back. I just don't even know what to say about this. I mean, I don't know where this kind of riff, this kind of shaping and content comes from. Notice how the rhythm changes. So the beat at which it goes up changes all the time. And now the build up. Again, like these notes are, you know, close encounters of the third kind, opening up a portal. And then this is like where everything breaks open, right? So full transmission activated. So, you know, there's a like electro sort of magnetic sound, that electromagnetic storm happening, while there's all this like, ecstatic, anguished, and then this is like this riff from, you know, again, this like tribal, extraterrestrial melody. And then super, I mean, it's uplifting, but it's also anguished, and, you know, there's the mystery and the celebration and the pain and just all of the emotions. Now it's voiced a little bit more staccato, a little bit more detached. Love these drum rolls. And that up and down stuff that we noted even in, you know, 94, 95. Some sneaky little harmonic elements coming out of those. And then we've got a cyber rock kind of situation going on here. And, you know, so this is, I mean, this is still pumping, but it's like, you notice how there's phases where things are like way more intense, and then things float around a little bit so you can sort of compose yourself and catch your breath a little bit. And then, like this. Again, all these voices coming from the ethers and other dimensions whispering into ours. What can you say about this? And then this really other amazing, like, what is this? Creative storytelling. And then this other shift. And then there's this call and answer going on here. Down, up. Almost the same figuration, but it's kind of a two-parter. You can hear those voices going on in the background still. Third time. And just before it shifts, on the last beat, there's going to be a shift. Now we're in this part. And that familiar riff with more tension, with more granular sounds in the background. And this sort of tension comes out. And then coming up is this just anguished scream. Notice the interval. While there's all that other stuff going on here. And now again, more detached, more staccato. It's really just like all the emotions are just pouring out at once. Then one little reprieve here. And just everything lets loose. It's all happening at once. This again, it's like celebration. We're here, we're alive, you know. There's all this energy, all this power all across the cosmos. Like this real ecstatic remembering of what we might have forgotten. And brilliant little break here. And then there's a slide on the 8th beat. Which is like the weakest beat and takes you into the strong first beat. And again, listen to all the different layers with sort of different frequencies, different granularity or melodic content. And then we get this final scream. Kind of like this imploring everybody to get the message and remember what's really going on. And just get the end of this particular journey. All these different voices. Some of these voices right at the end here. I mean, that's an event. And you just, every time I hear that track, and I could not possibly count how many times I've heard that. And I've played it several times. It's always different. It always packs a cosmic, multi-dimensional punch, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's something else. And it's so iconic. I played this at Apsara in Hungary in 2023. And just at the opening, when people heard the melody come in, I mean, the screams and the cheers, like if everybody remembers this, it's like meeting an old friend from another dimension or star system. And, you know, you're reunited. I mean, just check this out. Right? And then the uplifting, celebratory nature of those, you know, climactic points. Even though, again, there's this whole blend of emotions that includes anguish and joy and ecstasy and pain and confusion and all of that. All of that combined still has a celebratory nature. So what can you say? I mean, I can normally say quite a lot, but really, you know, I can't speak highly enough about this track. As I said, there's just so much going on at every moment, and so many different things that reveal themselves. And I think every time you hear it, you know, based on where you're at and what you're experiencing, you know, your experience of the track can be different. There are different mixes. You know, there were some live sets that came out, and just, you know, as interesting as they can be, there's just something about this particular occasion when this was done, where it's just, you know, everything came together. The Pleiadians were beaming something down through these four musicians into that studio and through all that equipment. And magic happened. Unfortunately, this magic was captured and preserved, and we can experience it again. So, that is Maia. Um, Always in my top 5 tracks of all time. It's as I said, every time it's played, it's an occasion. It needs to be a special occasion to be able to bring this one out because it's just the circumstances have to be right. So after all of that, I will sign off and let you hear the full thing with your own ears without me talking over it, so you can tune into whatever levels and dimensions and aspects of this magical music tickle your ears or whatever parts of your body and psyche and spirit. So I'm Mark, DJ Solitaire, leaving you now with the masterpiece by the Pleiadians, Maia.